going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the German Bear Podcast. And today I got the big 2023 Chicago Bears NFL Draft Recap. And in today's video, we want to look at the 2023 Chicago Bears NFL Draft and what they got out of it. We want to look at all the trades that the Chicago Bears made during the draft days. We want to look at day 1, 2, and 3, look at all the players that were selected and how they fit the Bears. And mostly, we want to grade every single pick that the Bears made and then grade the entire draft as well. So excited to talk Bears draft once again. I think we had some really great 3 days overall with tons and tons of great players that were added to the roster. And with that being said, I don't want to waste any more time, and let's start off the grading with day 1 of the 2023 NFL Draft. And day 1 started off with a trade for the Chicago Bears, and they traded down with the Philadelphia Eagles. They went back one spot, and the Eagles out of that trade got the number 9 overall pick, and the Bears got pick number 10 and got an additional 2024 fourth round pick. And with that 10th overall pick in the 2023 draft, the Chicago Bears then selected Darnell Wright, right tackle of Tennessee. And I think the Chicago Bears and GM Ryan Poles did a phenomenal job with their first pick, addressing offensive line early on and just showing that they're prioritizing Justin Fields' development and just his security for the next couple of years, and showing that they believe in him as the quarterback of the future. As for Darnell Wright's grade and that pick at that spot, I would grade this as an A+ pick. I think that's an absolute home run hit. If you want to see a more in-depth analysis of the player, just go back to the video of day 1 where I recapped the Chicago Bears pick of Darnell Wright. But overall, just a great fit for the Chicago Bears at the right tackle spot. Should be a player that can lock down this position for 10 plus years, hopefully, and it's just a phenomenal pass protector that will help Justin Fields develop as a passer, and in a run game, he has some really good stuff that he still needs to develop in some cases, but overall, really solid stuff as well to offer. And from a value standpoint, at number 10, you get probably the best tackle in the class after Paris Johnson Jr., maybe, who went already at that spot. So you got probably the best tackle available at that spot. You got the most or the best pass blocking tackle in the entire draft class, arguably, as well. And I think at that spot, value-wise and needs-wise, you got a great player. So that's why it's an A+ for me. And that already finishes off day 1 for the Chicago Bears of the 2023 NFL Draft. And we want to move on to day 2, which was pretty interesting in my opinion as well. And to start off day 2, the Chicago Bears had pick number 53 to start off the second round of the 2023 NFL Draft for them. And they decided to go with Gervon Dexter Sr., interior defensive lineman out of Florida. And for me, this is definitely a B+ grade overall. I think for me, Gervon Dexter Sr., is definitely one of the more underrated players in this entire draft class. He's a 6'6", 310-pound demon. And once again, if you want a more in-depth analysis, make sure to check out the last 3 videos where I talked about every single draft prospect besides the last 2 picks in the 7th round that the Bears made, but I want to talk about them in this video actually a bit later, more in depth. But Gervon Dexter Sr., absolute phenomenal player overall. He will be probably the nose tackle right away for the Chicago Bears, but he's an incredible run stuffer, which is probably why it is a B+ for me. It's not really an A because he had some other really good players on the board as well, but it definitely just fills out a need. It might be a bit high for Gervon Dexter Sr., but I mean, for me overall, it's still a phenomenal pick. The Bears love the upside, so do I, with Dexter, and I think you got just a phenomenal run defender that will help address that issue right away. And he also has tons and tons of pass rush upside as well. So you get an athletic freak here at 53, definitely a B+ pick for me at that spot. And then we got another trade up with the Jacksonville Jaguars now. So another trade for the Chicago Bears. They were active on all 3 days days on the phone. Ryan Poles did a phenomenal job, I think, with this one as well. Went up from the number 61 overall spot to pick number 56, so moved up a couple of spots and gave the Jaguars a pick later in round 5, the 136th overall pick in the draft in compensation as well. And with that 56th pick, where the Chicago Bears traded up for, they selected Tyreek Stevenson, cornerback out of Miami. And for me, this is a definitely, no doubt, A grade for me overall. I think the cornerback position is one that is definitely undervalued as a need for the Chicago Bears, because I think the depth is not great and you still lack that second outside corner if the Bears truly want to play Kyler Gordon mainly in the nickel position. And with selecting Tyreek Stevenson here, they definitely confirmed that. And I mean, overall, Tyreek Stevenson, physical corner. Absolutely love this pick. You fulfill a underrated need, and you get probably the best player on the board at 56, which is just a great value pick as well. Basically selecting the best player available here too. But I can't wait and see what Tyreek Stevenson brings to the Bears as just a press man menace. Just overall, just rerouting wide receivers so effectively and just being such a physical player. I love his playing style, and just overall is a great player. Amazing addition. Like I said, A grade for this pick overall for me personally. And then the last pick that the Bears made at day 2 was Zach Pickens, defensive lineman out of South Carolina, with the 64th overall pick. And this one is just, once again, a B grade for me, but not a B plus like Jervin Dexter. It's a B minus for me. I think it's, first of all, from a need standpoint, still a great addition in my opinion. You beef up the defensive line once again. Could have gone itchy too, but I think how the board fell for the Chicago Bears, I think Zach Pickens is definitely not a bad choice overall. I like the player. Now in the run game, he's definitely a guy that can get easily pushed around, and I think that's his biggest weakness at this moment. But I mean, he's definitely a player that has, like Jervin Dexter, incredible upside overall, athletic upside, so the raw power, the raw speed, the raw get of, and all those kinds of things that you can't teach, he possesses those traits. And then just as a pass rusher, he's a phenomenal player already. So for me, he's a very intriguing player that you mostly will play probably as a third down player on obvious rush downs early on in his career, but he will definitely develop and hopefully becomes a pretty, at least reliable run defender throughout his career. But the pass rush upside is crazy with him, and I absolutely love that aspect of his game. And once again, just beefing up the defensive line, getting a great pass rusher in that aspect with Zach Pickens, or a Zach pass rush specialist at least. So that's definitely a B minus for me. Like I said, don't love his run defense at the moment, but the pass rush upside is what definitely keeps it in the B range. And I still like this pick very much by Ryan Poles. And with that, we want to move on to the last day, which was day 3, and talk about rounds 4 to round 7. And I think the overall theme for the Chicago Bears at day 3 of the NFL draft was definitely just getting big valued players that just weren't taken at that spot. You love the value, love the position, and kind of fits a need in some way, but overall you're selecting best player available. I think that was the big theme of day 3, like I said. And the Bears started off with, once again, a trade with this round. Even before they were officially on the clock, they traded down with the New Orleans Saints, pick number 103, and got in return for that pick number 115 and 165 later, I think in round 5 it was. And for me overall, I think they started off really great with picking at 115 running back Roschon Johnson out of Texas. For me, as a grade wise, that's definitely a B plus pick. Now, talking about the need running back, I think the Bears got a pretty deep running back room with Deontay Foreman, Khalil Herbert, Treston Ebner, and also Travis Homer. But I think you can easily carry 4 running backs throughout a season, especially with expected injuries in every single season. So I think from that standpoint, it's a really good pickup. But overall as well, I think Roschon Johnson is one of the most talented running backs in this entire draft class. Talked extensively about him in the last video as well, so feel free to check that out if you want to. But I mean, overall, he's just a workhorse back that is just a truck machine, an absolute bell cow back that has so much upside after he ran so many years behind the talented Bijan Robinson and was just in the shadows. But whenever he was on the field, the production did not drop that much. And I think the talent is just crazy there. We haven't seen the full potential of Roschon Johnson yet. And I think he adds incredible value to the Chicago Bears running back room and could eventually become a running back one for the Chicago Bears in the future. Then moving on with the 133rd pick, the Chicago Bears selected Tyler Scott, wide receiver out of Cincinnati, still in the 4th round. I think this one is a phenomenal, incredible high value pick. Love this one. Probably my favorite pick of day 3 for the Chicago Bears in the 2023 NFL draft. For me, this is definitely an A grade because Tyler Scott is a player that could have easily went early in the draft. Day 2 was, for me, the latest where he could have went late day 2, round 3, that range, but fell to the Bears late in round 4, and I think that's such a incredible value pick. Like I said, he just adds another dimension to the offense, is so freaking fast. He can easily take a top of a defense and is still a young developing player for the wide receiver position after switching from it to from the running back spot, and I think he just adds so much value to this offense. You get Justin Fields, another playmaker, and he's also that security blanket for potentially just Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool could both be leaving, right? So we have to keep that in mind that we need to extend both of those players. And Tyler Scott is a high upside wide receiver that could easily become wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 2 if both of those guys leave Chicago in 2024. But with that being said, we want to move on. Like I said, Tyler Scott, big-time player. And then in the 5th round with the 148th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears selected Noah Sewell, linebacker out of Oregon. And I think for me personally, I think Noah Sewell is probably my least favorite pick of the entire 2023 Chicago Bears draft. I would give this a C grade. I think value standpoint wise, it's fair value, pretty fair value for Noah Sewell. He could have went a bit earlier as well, in my opinion. But for me, it's a C because it's a player that is, first of all, not at a big position of need after signing a couple of really good free agents, some superstar free agents in Tremaine Edmonds, and TJ Edwards is a phenomenal linebacker in his own right as well. You got Jack Sanborn, so it's not the biggest need, but we're talking 5th round here, so you still get depth at the position, which is great. And I think Noah Sewell is a really talented player. Now, do I see a lot of upside? That's why it's only a C in pass coverage of him. No, I do not see that because he's just not as agile as he was in 2021, where he looked definitely a bit better and looked a bit smoother in his movements than in 2022. But what you get with him right away, I don't think it's a bad pick, by the way, to clarify that, but what you get with him right away is just pass rush ability from the linebacker spot, so you can blitz him several times in the game, and then also got just a very good run defender as well. So he won't be a 3-down linebacker for the Chicago Bears, definitely not, but from a value standpoint and just as a backup, I think it's still a pretty good pick, but I still got this as the lowest graded pick for the Bears draft as a C. And then we want to move on to the last pick in the 5th round, which was when the 165th pick in the 2023 NFL draft. The Chicago Bears selected Terrell Smith, cornerback out of Minnesota. And I personally think this is a phenomenal pick by Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears. I think Terrell Smith is a very underrated cornerback, and after watching his tape, I came away so impressed. I graded him as a A- pick because I think from a value standpoint and just a need is pretty much a really good pick still, because the cornerback position is a position, like I said, that hasn't gotten a lot of depth over the last 2 off seasons, it feels like. And I think with Terrell Smith, you got a very good player that has insane high upside, a player that could have went way earlier, and you always have to think for the next off season as well, and we have to extend Jalen Johnson. And if the Bears are not willing to give whatever he wants from the Chicago Bears, I think Terrell Smith is a outside cornerback cornerback prospect that could easily develop into that second outside cornerback role. And then we're looking in 2024 with Tyreek Stevenson and Terrell Smith at a very good outside cornerback duo nonetheless, even though it would hurt to see Jalen Johnson leave. But if the asking price is high, this is a security blanket for that and Terrell Smith. But right now, that's phenomenal depth at that position. And if anybody gets hurt, I think with Terrell Smith, we're very well aware and just ready for that situation. But like I said, really good cornerback. Loved his tape, and I'm so excited what he can bring to the Chicago Bears as well. And then we want to move on to the 7th round, the two players I haven't talked about yet. And we want to start off with the 218th pick, where the Chicago Bears selected Travis Bell out of Kennesaw State, a defensive lineman. And the 6 foot, 310 defensive lineman is a player that I haven't heard at all before the draft. I luckily got some tape of him against Georgia Tech, which is obviously pretty good competition, ACC competition, so I think it's a pretty valid tape to look at, but only one game, so I want to give you my opinions on that game in a second. But I was just like stunned because I didn't find anything about Travis Bell after the Bears drafted him. But now, just for a quick little breakdown before giving you the true grade that I have for him with this draft pick, I think against Georgia Tech, for his pros, what he showed in that game at least is he came off the snap really quickly. He had some real good reps where he showed a pull and rip move as well as a beautiful swim move against a run to penetrate quickly and be in the backfield within a hurry. Also was very strong at the point of attack against pretty good Power 5 offensive linemen. He plays with very heavy hands, which I love, and showed some really great lower half agility and mobility too. Has some serious power in his lower half and core as well, and flashed a good bull rush at times too. And then just looked very gap sound against the run as well. So overall, I think he was a really good player, at least against Georgia Tech in 2021 as well, in addition to that. But for his cons in that game, I think how much will the competition increase be a problem for him, because he's not facing Georgia Tech or any other ACC offense any other week or that often overall. Also, double teams could be an issue as well, so I don't think he will be a true 2-gap defender, more like a 1-gap defender, and the consistency as a rusher could be better. But I think that tape really impressed me and just gave me somewhat of an outlook of what he could potentially provide in the NFL for the Chicago Bears. So overall, I think he's an athletic defensive line player with upside that could contribute as a rotational player right away on early downs as he continues to develop as a rusher. But like I said, had some real good reps as a pass rusher already. So I think that's pretty promising what I saw there. Obviously don't have a lot more about him, not that many scouting reports about him as well. But for me, that just ended it with a grade of a B+ for the Travis Bell pick, stacking up the defensive line once again, which I think the Bears had a huge problem in the interior, so I don't hate the pick at all. And then they finished off the draft with the 258th pick and selected Kendall Williamson, a safety out of Stanford. Haven't looked at any tape for him right now. So for me, he's a 6 foot, 205-pound safety that ran a 4.49 40-yard dash, which is a pretty good time overall. And I rate this a C+ for me. I think safety definitely needs some depth, and we need some players that can just fill in for potential injuries. So I think from that standpoint, it's not a bad pick at all. And I mean, overall C+. I haven't watched a lot of Kendall Williamson at that point at Stanford, so I will dig into that. But for right now, we'll leave it at a C+ overall. And with that being said, for the overall 2023 NFL draft class for the Chicago Bears, I would grade this a B+ draft. I think there were some situations where you could have done a bit better, but I mean, overall, I love how the Chicago Bears came out of this draft with the offensive tackle, the right tackle of the future, without a doubt. So love that. Then they stacked up defensive line with 3 defensive linemen, 2 of them being early round picks, which I love. I think we needed lots and lots of help in the interior, and we definitely got that from that pick, from a run defense standpoint, but also from a 3-tech rusher standpoint in Zach Pickens as well. We addressed cornerback, which was pretty important for me personally, with Tyreek Stevenson, and then also later on with Terrell Smith, who was a steal. We added another playmaker with Tyler Scott for the wide receiver room for Justin Fields. Got a really good running back in Roschon Johnson. Added a linebacker with rush potential in Noah Sewell as well, and then also had a safety late in the draft in Kendall Williamson. I think we could have gone out of this draft with a center as well, so that's why it's not higher than B+. Same for edge position, but I think the Bears still got so much money in the bank. We have to acknowledge that it's only one draft and you can't fix everything within one draft, so I like the approach of mostly drafting best player available at spots too. So we have to be patient. The rebuild is not fully done yet, but I think edge will be addressed throughout free agency, maybe with Yannick Ngakoue or whoever, Frank Clark is still available, right? Throw some money on a 1-year deal on some veteran or 2-year deal, whatever it is, to help the rush. But I think overall, we addressed a lot of needs. We got better, which is the most important thing. We got better as a football team, or the Bears got better as a football team. And I'm excited for this draft class and what they can bring. I think, like I said, Ryan Poles absolutely nailed it with this draft, and I'm just so excited. And let me tell you this, guys, the future is definitely bright for the Chicago Bears, and I can't wait for 2023 to start. But with that being said, that's the end of the episode, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely let me know in the comments down below how you would have graded the 2023 NFL Draft for the Chicago Bears. Like and subscribe if you liked the video. Check out Instagram and Twitter if you want to as well. And as always, guys, bear down.